Hello, Benjamin. Good evening, morning, lunch, whenever you are watching this. Time for a 5 minute or more response. Or less. I hope it wasn't less, because this is about to be more. I don't know. Alright, first thing gladiator in combat. I really like that metaphor of like, to the mates at state. Like, there's a huge stage when gladiators are fighting against each other, so I really like that metaphor for just anything on stage. I wish I would have done it in my puppet show. Um, she doesn't see the play. She doesn't see like the theater. She just sees the space, a neutral space. It's not a theater. It's not anything. It's just the space, and she takes it for what it is. And she lets it talk, and she allows it to talk to her, and I really like that. When I go into a room, I really try to spend time in it to figure out what's going on, and Manja's movement last year did a lot of that, where we just explored the room to really take in the space. Um, I like the idea of the actor being schizophrenic. I think it just explains we're thinking about so many things. We're all over the place. Things are talking to us, and we're expected to live that way. It's not just her saying it. It's we're expected to live this. The tree's talking to us. The floor is talking to us. Someone's talking to us. I'm talking to myself. I have all these thoughts running through my mind, and on top of that, just memorizing stuff and knowing all these words in our heads. Um, but also, she added that obviously we talked about mental health as you have, Dory have been doing a lot of recently, and having to leave it in the space, always be able to leave it in that space. Obviously, I'm a big music person in my pieces, so when she was talking about music makes theater bearable, I was automatically like, yeah, I make sometimes if music's not in some of my pieces, it's boring or just no one wants to watch it. But I kind of use music, I guess, to save pieces, and I didn't even realize it. But she also then she just go on and say music can be dominating. It can be. I think it's hard to find that balance. Sometimes a song over controls the meaning of the piece and not working together. It kind of controls it. And I like the idea of mistrusting things. Like mistrust, you must mistrust everything, because then you look into it more. If you just trust it and put your everything into it, you're just going to fall into it and it's going to swallow you up. But if you mistrust it, you can have a deeper relationship with it because you're examining it more. And that goes into having all these layers. If you mistrust them, you give them a broader layer. And she was talking about these layers with. I think I have fallen into this where I think a techno element will save something, but that's not what it's supposed to be. The tech's supposed to tell its own story. And I think with Papa Palooza, my piece, I think it kind of worked out that way because it wasn't my vision; it was her own vision, and it added a layer to the show that I would have never thought of. So I think that really, I think what she says is obviously true, and she loves stage directions, which I think is contrary to what a lot of people do. As in the interview it said, people just cross them out, and I've started doing that because I've been taught to do that. But I think it's also she brings up that when when she was smashed, the guy was smashing the trash can. It was written in the thing, and I think she's okay with crossing that out. I think she's more about when the original playwright writes something, because the playwright has this idea, but a lot of players don't go in depth, especially when it's in text, and maybe at the beginning, but not in text. So I thought that was interesting. And then she was talking about how theaters become more meaningful as the screen comes on, and I haven't personally experienced that, but I'm hoping she's right. And then she goes and talks about how theater's 100% metaphor and film isn't, which I would argue a little bit. I think film has a lot of metaphor, but I think she argues that since theater's 100%, it's a lot more metaphorical. Because I know film isn't 100% metaphorical. I just think it's interesting that I think I just haven't grasped what metaphor to her means. So I don't know. Maybe that's in that next. I wrote down if the host he kept going and it pissed me off. It was just way annoying, and I guess that kind of brings back to our idea that sound is really important. So the peep show metaphor, I thought it was similar to what your metaphor was for physical theater. How you're saying like everyone's equal to the table. There's no one that's the head of the table. how this peep show that everyone is equal, everyone's seeing the same thing, but everyone's seeing it differently because they're seeing it for this. She's dancing, but it closes for a second, so they don't see her for a little bit. And I thought that was a really good metaphor for it. And then she just talked about how being a director, and it's not. She's not the director. It's the role. Her person, as a person, she's not the director. It's just the role. And I think I tried to fight that in my puppet show because I felt like my regret was I wasn't just the director. But she also talks about you need to be she talked about her being needed to be the director when she is the director in that role. She needs to be that. She can't be actor, director. So I feel like it was a little confusing, but not. I understood where she was coming from. That you're not like, as a person, you're not a director in that moment. That's your role, and someone can come in and look at that lens because it's just a role. It's not you. They don't have to look as you're looking at it. They're looking at it as a director would look at it, not as I would look at it. So I think I took it more as that and less about you have to be. You have to be one thing, or you can't be multiple things in a production and all that. But yeah, for Papa Palooza, I probably should have been just director, not in it. How you take these better? I heard that a lot. From everyone, European, all that is just better. I love how she said Germans are like argumentative, Americans are just passive, and then the UK is a mixture of both. And after watching this, Ben, very prepared. I'm going to ask you why about everything we do in class. So thank you for letting me watch this video, and now I'm going to do that. I think we're trained to not question our leaders in America. And I think it's interesting to question why we're doing something. Just, we should know. Just I think we'll do it more beneficial if we asked about it. And that comes from, that leads into humans needing these methods to do something. We just need someone to tell us what to do. Or we needed a line to go on, and she doesn't want that. She wants you to take the training, but not as a method, but more of a growth, as growing you personally. Not you're gonna do viewpoints. You're gonna use viewpoints to find something in yourself. And then just talk about art, and I think I talked to my grandma about this, about politics and art and how it can change the world. And I told her, I'm like, knowing you can't just put Trump on stage and it be about Trump, because that's not going to work. But you could put, I think I used King Lear. I don't know if that was right at the time, but I used like Macbeth or something. Someone of leadership in like Shakespeare that falls because of their hubris or something. And that's more metaphorical than just putting Trump on stage, because people want to make that connection. It's a more meaningful connection when they make it, not when it's shoved in their face. So I liked that part of it. And then the gossip part, I just thought was funny. How her curiosity is about gossip. And I just thought that was interesting, because I think gossip, she was talking about language. I thought it was distinct. It reflects like humans. We want to gossip, we want to talk about each other, and how it helps civilization. I think that's interesting. That puts people down a peg sometimes when they need to be. And then strap actors need ownership. I always thought that was true. That's always why I try to make sure actors know, like, this is your show too. Even though I'm the director, this is your show. This is your work, your stamps on it. So I like that idea. And then teach one, do one, study one. And that's kind of where I want to get in life, because I feel like I'm kind of stuck. When I do something, I want to teach. I want to be always doing something else. So I hope to find that balance just as she did. Yeah. So I feel like I was going to say something funny at the end of this, and I forgot what it was going to be. So, all right, Ben. Peace out.